This presentation of the Savage Nation is brought to you by Inheritance Funding Company.
On the air, online, and on the go. This is Talk 910 KNEW.
Warning. The Michael Savage Show contains adult language, adult content, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised.
Now, America's most exciting radio talk show, The Savage Nation. Here is Michael Savage.
Signed a joint understanding for a follow-on treaty to the START agreement that will reduce our nuclear warheads and delivery systems by up to a third from our current treaty limitations. This legally binding treaty will be completed this year. We've also agreed on a joint statement on nuclear security cooperation that will help us achieve the goal of securing all vulnerable nuclear materials within 4 years, progress that we can build upon later this week at the G8 summit. Together, these are important steps forward in implementing the agenda that I laid out in Prague.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are witnessing the sellout of the United States of America. While you schmucks were dancing to Michael Jackson's funeral, your president, Barack Hussein Obama, held a fire sale of our nuclear defenses in Moscow. Make no mistake about it, this is unprecedented. We are putting ourselves at risk if we permit this to go forward. Now, I'd like to ask you a question. Does the president have the sole authority to act on the behalf of the American people without any congressional approval? Are you living in a dictatorship or are you living in a democracy? I'll let you decide. The fact of the matter is I am not the only one who is saying this. There's a superb article by a British columnist named Gerald Warner who wrote exactly what I just said. And he said, no apologies for posting consecutively on Barack Obama. The Looney Tunes president's sellout of U.S. and Western interests is proceeding at such a speed that it is difficult to keep pace. Well said, Niall Gardner, for asking if Barack Obama is the most naive president in American history. The answer is yes, unless he has a secret agenda to cut America down to size. Listen carefully what I'm talking about, because I'm going to tell you liberals something that you're finally going to understand. Just as I coined the phrase, microbes do not discriminate, way back in my book, Maximum Immunity, when I was writing about the AIDS epidemic and other epidemiological illnesses, I said that microbes do not discriminate. It's been copied by many, but I created that phrase. I also will tell you that nuclear weapons do not discriminate. When they come flying in without a missile defense shield, they won't know that you're a good fellow communist or a good liberal. They won't know that you're locked in amber. They won't know that you still wear your tie-dyes with pride. They won't know that you're an enemy of America. You'll go just with everyone else. Read the article. He said it was always in Russia that Obama threatened to do the most damage. And he said his supposed missile deal with Vladimir Putin is very satisfactory to Russian ambitions and realpolitik. And then you could read about the nuclear power balance and what this really means. And then he writes this. For America voluntarily to reduce its nuclear superiority is madness. Beyond pensant talk of a nuclear-free world displays total stupidity in a global situation where nuclear weaponry is proliferating, not receding. There is even a nuclear bomb in Pakistan, which is teetering on the brink of failed statehood at the hands of Islamist insurgents. Is this a time for America to disarm, to sell the store, as one trenchant right-wing commentator has already described Obama's posturing in Moscow? Is it time to sell the store? For Obama's success is not the delivery of watertight nuclear security for America. It is a feel-good news conference and photo opportunity that will create huge approval ratings on liberal campuses where the delusions of 1968 and the anti-Vietnam War movement still linger on in these isolated Jurassic parks. It seems certain Obama will sacrifice the anti-missile shield in Europe that would have been our defense against a nuclear Iran after the Ayatollahs, with Russian help, emerge as potential vaporizing agents of the infidel. The interceptor missiles do not even carry warheads. They rely on an impact at 14,900 miles an hour to destroy any incoming missile. So Russian hysteria about this, quote, threat is synthetic. Where I disagree, and well, I don't want to read the rest of the article. Read it yourself. Barack Obama holds a fire sale of America's nuclear defenses in Moscow by Gerald Warner. It is from the Telegraph blogs out of England. It's up on michaelsavage.com. Combined with this, though, is a ray of hope. The ray of hope comes from the Rasmussen poll. The Rasmussen poll says Obama's approval index drops to all-time low. So apparently the American people are not gulled by the schmucks and the vermin in the media. The daily presidential tracking poll shows only 32% of voters approve of Obama's performance. Did you hear that? 32%, not 60%, as Wolf Blitz and that vermin talks about. It's 32%. And 37% disapprove of this fraud, giving Obama a rating of -5, all-time low. You won't read that, will you? But you schmucks were gulled yesterday, weren't you? You putzes didn't understand when I was telling you why the vermin in the media were pushing this pervert in your face for days, this Michael Jackson pedophile, day in and day out. Why? All the while, it was planned that Obama was selling out America at the same time. Did you hear what I just said to you? If you think that there's no conspiracy between the government and the media, you're living in a dreamland. You belong at NYU. And if you don't belong at NYU, then you belong at an even worse campus. You belong at Harvard. This is the Savage Nation. Barack Obama holds a fire sale of America's nuclear defense in Moscow, and you were dancing to Michael Jackson's music. There is a concurrent article on michaelsavage.com from WND, which is entitled J'accuse England, J'accuse America. And in this article, Professor Washington has a theory as to why Michael Savage was banned in Britain. He compares Michael Savage and the problems I am having with the dictatorship of England with the Dreyfus affair. Many of you don't know what the Dreyfus affair was, and I don't say you should. It's not something I would think you should carry around with you, but it's important that you read about it and see where we are today with regard to the situation in the United States of America. So we have 3 articles to talk about. Obama's selling out America's nuclear defenses in Moscow. Obama's approval index drops to an all-time low. And Michael Savage compared to the Dreyfus affair. Phone number 1-800-449-8255, michaelsavage.com. Obama sells out to Russia. Let us begin in Miami, Florida. Lori, welcome to the Savage Nation. Go ahead, please.
Hello, Dr. Savage. What worries me most about the Michael Jackson fiasco is that it was the press's most important assignment so far from the Obama administration to cover for that hour that Obama spent at the Neil Puchin getting a re-education on the Cold War, which reminds me so much of Jimmy Carter and a lot of other
Well, let's cut to the chase. We have a president who just agreed to cut 1/3 of our nuclear arsenal without congressional discussion or votes. What country are we living in? A dictatorship or a democracy where the people have any voice?
A total dictatorship.
Thank you for the call. 1-800-449-8255. San Diego, Gail, you're on the Savage Nation. How do you feel waking up today, knowing that most of America disapproves of Obama, and yet the media has covered for him while he sold out the country to Russia?
I feel that this man has the entire nation fooled into thinking he's a naive politician, and the left-wing media mouths are in bed with him. And the worst of the worst I wanted to tell you is that I think this guy is the consummate enemy within the gates. He's a stealth Muslim. He's not what he says he is.
Well, let's pause right there. The stealth Muslim part of it I disagree with. I think he's a stealth communist liberal. Okay, let's put it to you that way. I don't care about his ethnic background, his religious background. What I care about is the defense of the United States of America. I believe the man is a walking disaster for the future security of this country. Neville Chamberlain did very similar things with Hitler in the 1930s. I compared Obama to Neville Chamberlain in coming up to the election. I said we have a man who I hope is Neville Chamberlain. But even Neville Chamberlain saw the errors of his ways after Hitler went forward with another invasion of another nation. And even Neville Chamberlain agreed he was wrong. Do you think Obama is capable of ever admitting he's wrong?
Absolutely not. The man is entirely the most arrogant politician I've ever observed. And I think that at least Neville Chamberlain loved his country. This guy hates his country, and it shows. It exudes from every pore of his body.
Well, I don't know about the hate part of it. I think he has no feelings for the country. I'll put it to you that way. Again, I give him a neutral on it rather than a plus or a negative. I think that his feelings are for the world rather than for the United States of America. Gail, it's a very terrifying situation we're in. We're talking now. It sounds like it's just words. It sounds like it's just rhetoric. There are ramifications to political acts. This could be a fatal blow. This is the Savage Nation.